about practices on the first
Yeah.
couple days?
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Greg Sankey for being named commissioner of the Southeastern Conference. I think it's a great decision by our presidents and athletic directors. He's a first-class person. He'll do a great job leading our league. Obviously, stepping in some big shoes there, Commissioner Slide. So congratulations to him. But hey, I've been very pleased with our effort. And we've been two days in helmets, and a long way to go. But the work ethic's really good. The guys are giving good effort. I'm pleased with that. And I'll open it up for any questions.
How are they just digesting all the new information so far?
Well, good. I think we've done a nice job in our off season because of the new rules, being able to meet with them more on football. They were much more prepared coming in. This is about my 6th time doing this, so as far as implementing a new system. So a lot of trial and error through those years, and I figured out probably the best way is to get things taught in a timely manner for the players. But again, all I told them is, listen, the effort's on you right now, the execution's on us. Now eventually you got to learn to execute within the scheme and what we're trying to do. But just give us effort right now. We'll coach the rest of it. And right now I've been somewhat pleased, much better day 2 than day 1.
Well, are you looking at guys in different positions than where they played last year?
Right now, there was a lot of hybrid guys that they played at a star position, which is a nickel for us. We ask our nickel to do a little bit more coverage as far as in our scheme and system. But Moncrief and Mitchell and some of those guys are playing a Sam/nickel for us right now. And we're still trying to roll guys in and play different roles. Y'all know me, we're going to cross-train a bunch of guys at different spots. It's more about teaching the concepts of what we do and how we do it, not necessarily putting a guy in one spot because, you're going to have some injuries. You never want to be in a situation of just putting the next guy in because that's where he's repped. You need to put the next best player in. And that's what we're kind of gunning for right now as we teach our system.
Tim Irvin kind of just a natural fit for that nickel role.
He does a nice job. He's got a really good feel in the slot. But Tim was a really good, had really good return skills. Coming out of Miami, with the ball in his hand. He's a running back also in high school. But he's got really good instincts on the field. The work ethic and all of that. It's just a hard transition coming mid-year, especially coming into a new situation. It's good for him because everybody's hearing it for the first time new. But again, we just got to continue to build his stamina, his endurance. But he's going to be a good football player. He's got a long ways to go, but I've been pleased with his playing nickel. We also play him at safety, so he does a nice job in the deep part of the field. And he's got some really good instincts as far as reception area and running the alley and those sort of things.
How has Carl Lawson looked to you both in bowl practice and now he's got practice?
Very good. He didn't really do a lot in bowl practice other than just some individual stuff, but he's been engaged in, we're limiting about half the reps of our team periods right now, even in helmets, and we'll continue to do that when we're in full pads. Carl's a good football player. He's played extremely well here at Auburn. So we're gonna really watch him and monitor his reps through spring practice. But I've been extremely pleased, first of all, with his leadership ability. Now he positively affects the guys around him. He plays extremely hard. Football is very important to him. He's in the film room all the time. He's asking questions constantly. He's texting me all the time about questions about what we're doing within our scheme and system. So he's the right guy to coach.
He's so similar in size to guys you've had in the Buck before. What do you,
I think he'll be very effective.
What do you see from him when when he stands up? We haven't seen him a lot in that. What do you think he's capable of witnessing?
Well, I haven't seen him much either as far as that's concerned, but I know he's got very good initial quickness and he's got a very good first step, and that's one of the critical factors at that position you have to be successful.
Well, what have you seen from Trey Matthews thus far?
Well, Trey's a physical player. I saw that in bowl practice. He enjoys contact. Again, another guy, football's important to him. He really enjoys the game. He's constantly in the building, watching film, asking questions, works hard on the practice field. But an instinctive player that's played a lot of football for a young player, and a guy that's obviously has made some mistakes, learned from his mistake, and has moved on from those. But I've been pleased with his maturity level.
Kind of on that note, not to say everybody isn't excited, but do you see a little bit more from him just because last year he kind of knew everything he did, he was sitting out, but now this year he's fighting for a starting job?
Well, I don't think there's any question. You get obviously humbled by some experiences you go through in life, and certainly he has. And hats off to Coach Malzahn and Jay Jacobs and Auburn University for giving a guy another opportunity.
this may seem like kind of a weird question, but is there a certain kind of pleasure in going back to just being an assistant coach and not doing as much as this or as much as
I
administrative
love
stuff?
you guys.
It's mutual. But I mean, is there a
You
certain?
didn't seem
you
very
do-
sincere. I mean, sincerity was not there
You didn't
at
sound
all.
very sincere either.
Florida media loved me.
No, but just the fact that you can coach ball, you don't have as many
Well, I
other
was-
things.
I understand the question. I was
I
very
know.
involved defensively at Florida. Regardless of popular opinion, I wasn't as much on offense. but should have been. But I wasn't. But no, I enjoy coaching. I enjoy being in the meeting room. I enjoy a lot of things that, as a head coach. You get pulled away from your meeting room, your position players, the defense, that preparation. But I was extremely involved with that when in my time at Florida. That certainly there's things that I really enjoyed about being a coordinator. That you experience those things again. But I'm very comfortable here. And Gus has been great. And the staff has been outstanding. The players have been very welcoming. Everyone has been wonderful.
And there seems to be like one challenge for every defense coordinator in college football now is defending the fast-paced offenses and everything.
Yeah.
Can you kind of reach out to Gus and kind of?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that sharing ideas is very important, and he's very open about what we need to do to be successful, and ideas from him that he sees from an offensive perspective that I may see from a defensive perspective that maybe not be as effective as I think they are, and other things that are much more effective. And Rhett and the entire offensive staff and Gus have been outstanding as far as those things. But that's what good staffs do. They share ideas. They make sure that that we're able to share information, practice the right way, prepare our football team, totally to be successful. And that's what's been a great experience so far.
Well, is there, not just here, but anywhere, defensive coach that probably wants to be knocking people around every practice and these kind of offenses that maybe don't want to do it as much as, have you and Gus talked about that?
No, unfortunately, the word spread is spread around way too much. Since he's been in the Southeastern Conference, I think 6 years as coordinator and head coach, he's led in rushing 5. When you lead the SEC in rushing, you have physicality about it. And all those formations that we create, we run the 2-back power, 2-back counter, the inside zone with a 6-man spacing. We have a very physical run game in what we do offensively. Right now in college football, a lot of people are running very similar offenses. And generally, in my experience defensively, guys get very used to what they see all the time. They get used to seeing that type of offense, that tempo of offense, the passing concepts that go along with it. People have gone far and away from the traditional 2-back running team. I think in our league right now, LSU and Arkansas are probably to that point. I know Alabama will certainly be in some of that, depending on their personnel. But right now, and those are teams we got to beat. So we need to prepare for that, and we take portions of practice, and we will continue to do so to prepare our defense for those things. And that was his suggestion. Those are the things we need to do to be good defensively. And we're going to have a very physical spring. We've been in helmets for 2 days, and we'll put the pads on Saturday and get after it.
Well, have you moved any defensive ends or worked any defensive ends inside like an Elijah Daniel or Andrew Williams?
Andrew has worked both at end and inside, and he will continue to do so. Elijah has worked strictly at end. He's been slowed a little bit with the hamstrings, nothing serious. He has practiced, but he's a guy that's got some flexibility. Devontae Lambert obviously is out this spring with an ACL, but he will work inside and out. I think that when you get into nickel situations, which in our league you're into a lot now, you've got to be able to match up with some of the guards in our league that aren't as good as the tackles. So when you're able to match up a better athlete inside and create some one-on-ones, it's harder to chip inside. And it's harder to chip a 3 technique as opposed to chipping a guy on the edges. It's much more difficult protection-wise to get that done. So when you're able to structure and attack a protection a certain way with a better athlete inside, we'll certainly try and take advantage of it.
What are you hoping to identify and trying to find that third linebacker? Obviously, you got Cass and Chris back, but who do you think should really emerge in that
personnel?
Well, I mean, I've been pleased with Justin Garrett and Trey Williams. I mean, those guys have done a nice job. And right now in our scheme, we're playing over 70, close to 80% the last 2 years, maybe 3 years of nickel or dime. This is where the game's gone. And everybody talks about numbers of linebackers on scholarship. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you're primarily playing with 2 inside backers, and then you're playing with 5 and 6 DBs. In a perfect world, you need probably 8 total Mikes and Wills on scholarship, as far as that's concerned, as far as your numbers, because you need as many pass rushers as you can find, as many big guys up front as you can find, and you got to have secondary guys and enough guys that can cover in the slot for us and what we do schematically. So right now, those 4 from an inside standpoint have stood out, and I think Javier Mitchell's a guy that's got some athleticism and can do some things. He's been a very good special teams player here. So we'll continue to rep all those guys, but I wouldn't say any of those guys have stood out. There's no question where they are above the other guys.
Where are you working that Trey at with?
Trey?
Williams?
Just an inside backer. Right now, those guys should be really interchangeable. Our Mike and Will is pretty mirrored in what they do. I mean, it's those guys just kind of do the same stuff.
Well, for you, having a chance, even though you weren't coaching, but having a chance to watch some bowl practices, how much did that help you when you got on the field?
Well, it just helped from a work ethic standpoint as much as anything. Good players, the ones I've been around, they like to work. They like practice. They enjoy that part of it. They enjoy the film. We're all blessed in different ways, and the guys that have obviously talent, but then on top of that, the ability to work hard, and that's what you saw a lot of. And so, from a scheme standpoint, knowing we're going to do some different things, it is what it is. We've moved a little different direction, but it was very beneficial.
Will, during your time at Florida, you and Travaris turned out some really good corners, and Jonathan Jones, your returning guy, was tied for team lead in interceptions last year. What do you kind of look for him to take the next step?
Well, again, I think that right now he's still slowed a little bit from a foot injury that we're taking slow. Nothing that's serious. I mean, I know he's going to be fine, but we haven't put him as much on the 11-on-11 stuff. We need some other guys to step up. But Jonathan's an experienced player. He's a very explosive player. He covers well on the top end. He's got really good ball skills. He can finish on balls down the field. But he'll probably maybe be in a little bit more 50-50 ball situation down the field the way we plan on playing. A lot of that will be determined on who the other corner is. If we can't cover, we won't be in many 50-50 balls. We'll be playing a little bit more split safety. But we're still identifying what our guys can do right now. So it's very hard for me, from a skill set standpoint, to make comments as far as what a guy needs to do to really improve right now. It's a little difficult.
Well, you say you're making a lot of decisions with what guys can do. Is there a timetable for this spring? Do you want either during spring, or do you want by the end of spring to have at least an idea as to where everybody will fit, so that when you get back to fall camp, or do you want to have a decision after 10 practices?
No, after spring.
Yes.
Take the totality of spring, sit down as a staff and Gus, and just kind of go over. I told our guys, and Coach Malzahn said it, who can we count on? Who can we trust? Who do we know is going to handle their business academically? Who's going to handle their business socially? And then from a football standpoint, who can be a productive member of our football team? And those guys are guys we can count on. Now, what role will that be? I don't know. They'll determine that when they get to fall camp. But I want to leave camp and say I can count on this guy to be a very productive member of a football team in those 3 areas, because I know he's going to be academically where he's doing what he's supposed to do, and socially he's not going to be a knucklehead, and he's going to act right and all that. And then football standpoint, he can be a productive guy for us. So really, at the end of spring, and I told our guys after the first practice, I said, if it's 11, it's 11. I'd love for it to be 25 guys that I know we can go in and count on. It's a combination of, anywhere from 12 to 13 guys up front, 5 linebackers, and then a combination of 14 to 16 secondary guys. And that's in a perfect world. So I don't know if we'll get there.
To go back to signing day and recruiting a little bit, because we haven't spoken to you since then, but obviously Landon, Byron Coward, and a lot of other guys who this program was recruiting, but not as high on at that point until you and your staff came in. What was your feeling of landing Byron, and where do you think he'll fit, and some of the other guys you brought?
Well, I think we signed a lot of good football players on both sides of the ball that certainly will have every opportunity in the world to contribute to our football team. Because I tell I'll tell you exactly the way I tell every recruit. I won't do is promise you an opportunity. It's your job to come in and take advantage of the opportunity. And I don't know, I've never in my coaching career promised a guy playing time. That's his job. He's got to come in and earn the respect of his teammates and earn the right to play. Byron's a good football player, and if he continues to work the way he needs to work, I certainly think he can help us. How much? That'll be up to him. Because we're going to play the best guys, and if he's the best at his position, and this is true for all of them, if they're the best at their position, they'll start. And if they're good enough, they'll contribute. But that's up to them. We don't make any decisions before fall camp thinking that a guy's going to play X amount of snaps in a game or start game 8 or whatever. Those decisions are made in camp.
Will, you mentioned that right now players are only being graded on effort and coaches are looking at the execution part. Is there at any point this spring where players actually will be graded on execution, or is that something that won't take?
Absolutely. No, I mean, just early on, I mean, there's a lot going on for them right now. I want them to concentrate. I want it to be a very simple world for them. And I want them to work on really playing hard. That's a talent. No, there's no question. I told them too. There's going to come a point in time, if you can't execute, you can't play. So when we got to repeat something over and over and over again, that's you get the point when you tell the player, you just can't do it. You go to the next guy.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you had like a target date in mind about maybe when you start.
No,
It'll be
I
after they
think
come out of
coach,
the break.
You know, we're teaching middle field concepts right now. When we start working in day 4 and day 5, and a guy doesn't understand middle field concepts, we got an issue. Stuff when it's something you've repeated over and over again. Introduction of something the first day, which we're going to have in our first probably 8 practices, some form of new installation to prepare ourselves for the season. You know, there's no question that there's going to be some mistakes made. Just play hard, and that'll take care of a lot. But once we've installed something, we've been over it, we've talked about it, we've watched the film, we've had an opportunity to rep it, and then we're not getting it now. We may have a look. And I tell the players that's part of our evaluation. What volume can you handle? Because there's going to come a time, hopefully, if we can play well during the season, you know, we're going to get into a game and somebody's going to do something totally different than we haven't prepared for. Now, that's a great compliment to your defense because that means they don't think they can beat you doing their normal stuff. So you got to make adjustments in the game, and if a player can't make adjustments in the game, that's going to hurt his playing time.
Well, you talked about cross-training guys. How valuable is a guy like Rudy Ford that has played?
Right, well, he's going right now. I mean, he's going to play some corner for us in spring. He can really run on the top end. Everybody talks about hips, and I could care less. We play in a half turn. We're opened up and running, or we're playing bump and run, one or the other. And he's a physical, tough player. He can really run on the top end, and he can match up against some of the bigger receivers in our league.
All right, Coach.
All right, thank you.
That's what.
Yeah, well,